No way had this actually gone down. Yandy really kicked Lil Mendeecees out the house after he slapped Mendeecees in the car. Yeah, you heard that right. Things between them have been rocky, but no one expected it to reach this level. The drama took a sharp turn, and now everything's a mess. So picture this. Mendeecees and his son are riding in the car. Out of nowhere, Lil Mendeecees slaps his dad across the face. No warning, no buildup, just a straight slap. But what led to this? What could have made him lash out like that? And why did Yandy react the way she did after finding out? Let's break it down because the backstory makes the situation even wilder. There's been tension between father and son for years. This isn't new. People have been noticing how off their interactions were since Mendeecees got out of prison. Lily? Mendeecees had to step up and mature quickly while his dad was gone. And through it all, Yandy was the one taking care of him, making sure he had everything he needed. She played both roles, mom and dad, while Mendeecees was locked up. So when he came back, he expected his son to act like nothing ever changed. But it doesn't work that way. Years of emotional distance don't just vanish overnight. And let's be real, Mendeecees hasn't exactly been the most supportive dad. People still remember when he said he wasn't sure if he'd have stayed loyal to Yandy if their roles were reversed. That raised eyebrows. If he could say that about his wife, how was he treating his son when the cameras weren't rolling? So, fast forward to this car ride. Word is, the argument started over something small, just a regular disagreement. But when the relationship has been strained for so long, even the tiniest spark can set everything off. Mendeecees told Lil Mendeecees he's been acting disrespectful, and it turned into a full-on clash. You know how some parents go into that, "I'm the adult, you better watch how you speak" mode? That's what happened. But Lil Mendeecees wasn't here for it. He clapped back and said he doesn't respect his dad because he's never really been around. That stung. Instead of listening, Mendeecees tried to shut it down and take control like he always does. And that's when it happened. Lil Mendeecees looked his dad straight in the eyes and said, "Now you want to act like a dad? Where was all this when I needed you?" And then, bam, he slapped him. It was like everything he'd been holding in for years just exploded in that one moment. Mendeecees didn't even react at first. He just sat there in shock, trying to process what just happened, and then came the fallout. Yandy wasn't there when it happened, but as soon as she found out, she went off. She was yelling, crying, trying to understand how things got to this point. And when she pieced everything together, she made a decision that no one expected. She told Lil Mendeecees to leave. That's when things really hit the fan. People online were completely divided. Some were saying, he crossed the line, he deserved to be kicked out, while others couldn't believe Yandy would do that to the same kid she's been raising for years. The internet blew up. Comment sections turned into war zones. Memes were flying, and some even joked it was the father-son slap of the year, comparing it to the infamous Will Smith moment. But let's talk about how Lil Mendeecees took it. When Yandy told him to leave, he was stunned. He looked at her like she was a stranger. She had always been the one to protect him, always had his back. And now she was turning on him. He gave this cold, bitter laugh and said, "So I'm the villain now, after everything I've been through?" You could tell it crushed him, but Yandy wasn't budging. She told him straight up, "You crossed the line, and that was that." He packed his stuff and left. But he didn't just stay quiet. Nope, he hit social media and started spilling everything. Posting cryptic messages, going live, and talking about how his dad never really cared, how it was all just for show. He said Mendeecees only acted like a father when the cameras were on and disappeared when they weren't. And then he said something that completely changed everything. Yandy isn't as innocent as she pretends to be. At that moment, the internet didn't know how to react. People went from surprised to completely stunned. See, Yandy has always had this image of being the perfect wife and mother, someone who brings peace and holds the family together. But Lil Mendeecees wasn't buying it. He was ready to talk about the side of Yandy that people don't usually see. He started hinting that everything Yandy did for him wasn't really from the heart, that it was more for show. According to him, behind the cameras, she acted totally different. He even asked, "Do y'all really believe she took care of me out of love? Or was it just to look like the perfect wife to everyone watching?" That hit hard. Now people didn't know who to trust. On one hand, Lil Mendeecees seemed like a hurt kid who had finally decided to speak up. But on the other hand, some wondered if he was just mad because he got kicked out, and just when things were already messy, Mendeecees finally broke his silence. At first, he didn't say a word. No posts, no comments, nothing. But then he did an interview, and it felt more like a performance than anything else. He came in looking sad, playing the role of a heartbroken father. He sat there saying things like, "As a man, I never thought my own son would turn on me." The interviewer ate it up, acting like this was the most heartbreaking thing ever. Then he hit everyone with the classic line, "All I ever wanted was to be a father. I'm not perfect, but I tried. And to see my son disrespect me like that hurts more than anything." But people weren't buying it. The internet blew up with comments like, "Oh, now you want to be a dad? Where was all this energy? When you were barely around?" Folks were calling him out for acting like the victim now, when he hadn't been active in his son's life for years. They weren't letting him slide with just a sad face and a rehearsed speech. And it didn't stop there. Erica, Mendeecees' other baby mama, jumped in too. And she wasn't holding back. She said, "Now y'all finally see what I've been saying for years." She straight up called him out, saying he hadn't been anything close to a decent father. What started off as a family argument was now turning into full-on reality TV-level drama. Lil Mendeecees was out here spilling secrets. Mendeecees was playing the hurt dad, Yandy was caught in the middle looking shady, and now Erica was adding more heat. Then, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, boom, someone dropped receipts. And these receipts, they changed everything. We're talking screenshots, text messages, voicemails, the kind of stuff that flips the whole story upside down. These weren't just random accusations anymore. This was real proof. Turns out the family had been putting on a show for years, pretending to be all love and unity in public while hiding a completely different story in private. One of the most shocking texts came from Mendeecees himself, where he said, "I only do this for TV. I gotta look like I'm trying." So while he was out here doing interviews and talking about how much he loves his son, these messages were saying he was just trying to keep up appearances. People were shook. All that "I just want to be a father" stuff started sounding real. Fake after that. But the receipts didn't stop with him. They also exposed Yandy. Remember when Lil Mendeecees said she wasn't who she pretended to be? Well, one of the texts had Yandy saying, "I can't keep doing this, he's not even my real son." That right there had everyone talking. Lil Mendeecees has called her mom for years. She always acted like she loved him like her own. And now she's texting his real dad saying she can't keep pretending? That hit deep. The internet didn't know what to think anymore. Was Lil Mendeecees just acting out? Or was he finally telling the truth? Was Yandy really a caring stepmom? Or was it all for show? Was Mendeecees ever serious about being a father? Or was he just trying to look good on TV? And just when the story was already wild, Mama D showed up. Yes, Love and Hip Hop's very own queen of mess. She hopped on Instagram Live and said, "This is why I tell people to stop faking these relationships for TV. The truth always comes out." She didn't hold back either. She said, "I've been knew Mendeecees wasn't no good. Yandy's been playing the stepmom role for a storyline. And Lil Mendeecees, that boy's been fed up. I don't blame him for snapping." The Love and Hip Hop world exploded. Lil Mendeecees spoke out, parents got exposed, Mama D shaded, and Kim Bella jumped in, calling Yandy fake and backing Lil Mendeecees' claims.